Ching Me Softly. Is that a new song?
I do not recall any interest in sports before that.
Right.
That's how strong the effect of it was.
If I could bottle that experience up in a little bottle and just have little whiffs of it every day, I'd be happy with it. So you've now admitted that you're a Jordan fan. Who's your prediction for who's going to win the chip this year?
Hello, everyone.
Welcome back, Ed.
Thanks.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been about a month.
Has it been a month?
Yeah, about maybe a month and a half.
It feels longer, but anyway. Welcome back.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to be here. I like the new setting. It's just got Kobe, Mamba setting.
Every podcast is a new studio.
It's because there's no country. Yeah. We're too next.
We're just squatters. We just go from house to house. Wherever we can find an open door.
I think this is the best one though.
Nah.
Yes. Look at this. Nintendo Wii, GameCube, and I'm fanboying.
Yeah, very good.
I love it.
Thank you, man.
It's so nice.
Good job.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Good job. Well, today we're going to do something different, Ed.
Yes.
We're going to do a segment called Getting to Know Edd Muzz. We need a bit of music, like like that. That's like a game show thing.
Yes.
So we're going to ask each other a few questions today that we might not know about each other. I think I know all your answers, but you might not know.
I might surprise you.
So what do you think, Ed?
Let's go. Who's first?
Are you happy to do that?
I'm very happy to do whatever you want.
We might even ask Ben a question about sport. What do you think?
Oh, I don't know.
He's a soccer guy. He's a soccer guy, so we can ask Ben a soccer question.
Up to you.
All right, let's start. I'm going to start with a question for you, Ed. Nice and easy. What's your earliest memory of watching or playing basketball, and did it shape your love for the NBA?
Oof. It's like three questions in one.
It is.
It's like a three-peat.
Your earliest memory of basketball?
My earliest memory of basketball would have to be when I was at school. Because when the Dream Team, we're talking 1992, so I was about 6 or 7 years old. And I would have been in, first grade, year one. So, and the Dream Team was the biggest thing ever. That we'd never seen so many superstars. And that was really my introduction. And it at my school, it was just the biggest thing ever. So everything, basketball cards, video games came out, VHS videotapes that we'd hire and watch repeatedly, and books and magazines, but we didn't get the games live in Australia.
No.
The NBA games anyway.
Not for a while after that.
The Olympics, we got Olympics, but I cannot remember even watching one game, to be honest. But the effect was so strong, not just in Australia, globally, and that's the effect of Jordan and Bird Magic. I mean, then we all began to learn like who these guys were, and obviously, and we were able to learn so much from I know the basketball cards had some info in the back but I think we got a pretty good grounding, and this is all before social media, 100%. And we had a pretty strong understanding of what was happening in the NBA, I'd have to say.
Yeah, well.
Even without watching the games.
So would you say that you liked the sport before the introduction to the players, or no? Or you weren't a fan of basketball until you were introduced to the Dream Team and the players? Do you think that was your introduction to the sport? Because I know you got your Fijian heritage, so you probably have a rugby league heritage, right? Before basketball? I
do not recall any interest in sports before that.
Right.
That's how strong the effect of it was. I do not have any recollection with obviously Fijian background. Not really league. I think union was always more of a stronger
code.
Code of the two, league and union. Union was always the best. Our sevens team were always really good.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about early 90s. I'm not even sure if I didn't even watch rugby that much.
So really. You weren't even a league guy back as a kid?
Oh, definitely league. I mean, whenever State of Origin came on, which is, if nobody knows, this is New South Wales versus Queensland. This has been going on since the 70s, right? Yeah, 70s. Yeah. And it's a probably the best competition in Australia, the best of the best in Australia playing rugby league.
Yeah.
And so I've always had an interest in that. So yeah, league, but in terms of international, Fiji have always been greater in union than league.
Right.
So yeah, so that's rugby, but I honestly don't have much of it. I've always loved cricket. I'm a huge cricket fan.
Right.
In fact, I'm interviewing a guy that used to play for the West Indies with Brian Lara
Really?
very soon. Yeah,
It's not Curtly Ambrose, is it?
he played. I'm pretty sure he played with Curtly.
He was one of my favourite bowlers.
Yeah. Oh, legends.
Viv Richards. And his big V-bat that weighed 6 ton.
That's before my time.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Just trying to teach you. Every day's a school day, Ed.
I know who he is.
Be humble, mate.
I know who he is. The Brian Lara. But that's what I'm saying. So there was I was cricket and rugby. But like I said, Dream Team, basketball took over.
That was your introduction to basketball.
Yeah, and I was playing at school.
Yeah.
And I do have an early memory of, because I was playing for a local club, and my dad would take me to the games, and I wasn't really very good at all. My dad would be on the sideline, pass the ball, do this, do that. And I'm just like,
Dad coach.
I'm scared. I'm embarrassed.
Of basketball?
Yeah, because I didn't really know what to do.
Tall? You were a tall guy. Were you tall as a kid?
I grew more in my later years in high school. I was actually not that tall.
So you weren't the tallest kid on the team?
No. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
so the Dream Team was kind of your introduction to basketball.
It was.
That was your first early memories of basketball.
Oh, yeah. It was strong.
Okay.
As you know.
So I'm much older than you, so mine is obviously before that. I Jordan before the Dream Team, he was my introduction to basketball. So, like I said, he made it big from 85 onwards. I was already 7 years old at the time, so I don't remember if I remember him in 85, like the first stages of Jordan. But I definitely...
Which is when I was born.
But I definitely remember seeing the slam dunk competition win and that legendary free throw dunk that he did that we've seen on all the posters and all that. I remember that. That's
the one that Pippen did straight after that no one sees.
Don't remember that.
The one that Dr. J did before him.
Maybe, yeah.
I'll stop.
I do. No.
It's iconic.
I actually do remember some of Dr. J's moves. Actually, seeing some of his highlights back in the day.
Like the one under the basket, at the back of the basket.
That's right. They lay out from underneath.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he was very graceful, Dr. J.
He was a showman, I think. And then Jordan came. Took showmanship. I think the grace that he had on the court was just no one had seen that before.
I think
athleticism.
Jordan came in an era where the televised thing was getting more popular, was becoming more known to everybody. So I think Jordan's time period it just fit in him being elevated internationally because it was when the NBA started being promoted. Like we talk about the Celtics of the 80s and the Showtime Magic and all that, and that was everyone knew about it internationally. But I think from Jordan era onwards, it kind of skyrocketed.
That's the 80s.
From then on,
I think not just sports, movies, music, everything was on a greater scale than ever before. Like blockbuster movies. You talk like Rocky and it's just epic. Everything was epic.
Sport movies.
Yeah.
Then you start seeing things like Michael Jackson and the Jam song and using Jordan in it, and then Spike Lee doing his movies, and there was a massive introduction, I think. So that's probably my early memories of basketball. Of course, I remember Magic Johnson and Kareem and all that. I was old enough to remember that, but like the vivid memories that I remember is like Jordan onwards, and that's obviously where my love for Jordan came from in that whole era. So, like I said, similar to your LeBron love that you have is due to your era.
And you said you had the Bird versus Magic game, right?
Yeah.
Which is on what console was that?
No, it wasn't console. So I remember playing that on my mate's computer, and you could do a slam dunk competition, and you'd have to use the keys to actually do the moves. You'd have a 3-point competition with Larry Bird, and then there was a slam dunk competition that you'd use Michael Jordan in it. and you'd have to do like a combination on the keyboard to perform the dunk perfectly and get like a perfect score. And I just remember that game. We used to play for that for hours. So.
The way you explained that, your eyes just lit up.
Just my fingers. My fingers are already doing the keyboard moves. You know? So bring out the Commodore 64. So game wise, and you were mentioning like talking game wise, basketball related. Like you remember NBA Live '95, which is a Sega Mega Drive game.
Yeah. So I mean, or Sega Genesis, as
Genesis,
Americans. But that was my first console that I owned was a Sega Mega Drive.
Yeah.
And the very first
basketball
NBA game. There was I had a basketball game before that. I do not remember the name, but it was
Tragic.
I don't know. I don't know how I managed to play it. It was so bad, but I loved it because it's the best that we had. But when NBA Live '95 came out, that was the first NBA game.
Players.
Yeah, actual NBA players, and it was except Jordan wasn't on it.
Who was on the cover?
Jordan wasn't on it. I do not remember. I think it might have been Shaq. I think it was Shaq or.
I wonder.
I don't remember.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe we can get Ben to do his job and maybe put a picture up of NBA Live.
Yeah,
somewhere here, like like other YouTubers.
Yeah.
They get.
Can you do that again?
It'll just pop up right there, right here.
Can you make the
right here
that louder?
Yeah, yes.
Slow mo as well.
I've copyrighted that sound, by the way, man. So you'll have to pay me. You'll have to pay me royalties for that sound. So, well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's.
Well, I mean, but the effect that the video games had as well. So, I mean, you had the full rosters of all the teams in the NBA. So yes, USA got all the games. I got a lot of Filipino friends. They got the games live. They're not too far from us, but they got a lot of American influence in their country, and that's the sport of the nation.
Australia lacked big time in international, like even the NFL. Like we've had this discussion before. Like, I'm trying to remember the name of. There was an American guy that used to have a show. What was his name? I don't remember.
In Australia?
In Australia, he used to have an NFL show, and he'd show you, there'd be like highlights every week of the game. Like he wouldn't get the full game, but he'd do highlights. And it would come to me his name, but he was an American guy that was living here, but he had this show. And that was the only real link that even we had to the NFL back then, because we never got any live games or anything like that, you know? Australia, like you said, if it wasn't for rugby league, AFL and cricket, we'd get hardly nothing. We'd get soccer, we'd get World Cup, and we'd get that sort of thing, like the Premier League and all that sort of stuff, but we never really got
it's funny
the American sports
because,
side of things.
I mean, because I also had FIFA 95 as well on the Sega Genesis Mega Drive, which was, but what I'm saying is, I do not recall even having an NFL game even selling in Australia at all, because I used to collect comics as well around that time, the early 90s, and sometimes you see the ads for games, and I would see some sport like baseball games, and I'm like, I've never seen that. But they didn't sell in Australia even, so we had no coverage 100%. At all. Probably that show, which I didn't even know existed, to be honest. But
it was an NFL show. It was a weekly show, and that's our mascot. Yeah, Marty the mascot. So that was an introduction to.
Yeah, he's saying let's move on.
Yeah, next question. They're asking me next question. So I think I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway, because maybe this is a get to know Ed segment. So, who was your favourite player, NBA player growing up, and why was he your favourite player?
Yeah, I always, obviously, Michael Jordan was the best. Everyone. There was no other better player than Michael Jordan, because
Should've got some tissues. I might shed it to you on this comment.
I'm holding back a lot.
Let me get comfortable. Go.
I'm just being honest.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. You're in a moment.
Brutally honest, but I can just change like that because
I know you can. I know.
I know too much.
Trust me, I know you can change.
But the reality is, well, not just me. It's just the global effect is just Michael Jordan was it, and that's just how it was. And But he backed that up, obviously, because his athletic ability. He was such a supreme athlete for that era of
Yeah.
basketball. No one else looked like him, played like him, had the tenacity of Michael Jordan, and that's the thing. So, and
So
obviously
he was your start into like having let's say a favorite player to start, but I know that then it transitioned into T-Mac, right?
well, not straight away because we're talking early 90s.
Yeah.
I loved Grant Hill.
Right.
Oh man, I thought, I honestly, I loved Grant Hill. He was my favorite player.
Really?
So it was Jordan and Grant Hill. So I had a couple of Grant Hill basketball cards.
Was it because Grant Hill based his game off Jordan? It was kind of like the predecessor, you think?
Well, that's the thing. So yeah, Jordan opened up the way for this, and also the way, I mean, the rules allowed them to play more ISO basketball at the time in the 90s, and that from the late 80s to through the whole 90s. There was more opportunities, and so players came out after Jordan and to sort of influenced by his what he sort of paved in terms of, like I said, ISO ball and just having a bag of moves. The skill set was one-on-one, one-on-one play is just, that's what you looked out for. So he was one of the best, and also he was going to be the next Jordan.
Yeah.
We know that. We just knew that, and he had the Sprite ads.
We know injury cut him short. Yeah.
Yeah,
Shame, because he was a fantastic player.
He was amazing, and he was a triple double threat. Like he was in those days, and so was Scottie Pippen. But not to take anything away from Pippen,
Grant Hill was a better player than Pippen.
He was a bit more of a special. I think he had more of a green light as well than Pippen, because Pippen was second fiddle to Jordan, obviously. So, and Pippen proved himself what he can do as the number one man when Jordan first retired. Yeah. So, not to take anything away from Pippen.
No.
But to me, like, because my recollection, Grant Hill was just
right.
I mean, he was just so good. And
there you go. I didn't know that you had. Well, I'm actually a bit surprised that you said Jordan, but I'm glad you did. I appreciate your honesty. But so Jordan, Grant Hill, and then
Grant Hill, and that was pretty much it. I'd have to say, like, I mean, you love Penny Hardaway.
I did.
I know you do, and I know how big he was. I didn't sort of gravitate to him as much as you.
Yeah.
I mean, you tell me about that, because
I love Penny.
He was being compared to Jordan as well, as the new Jordan as well, right?
That's exactly where I was going to go. Like for me, like I saw Penny as being the next Jordan. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if he had kept healthy as well, for me it would have been Jordan, and Penny would have been my second in line, because I thought he just had the skill set that he could have. I think he could have been an MVP. I think he could have won chips. I think he had that skill set. Okay, and that Magic team was a great team. Like, having T-Mac and all that was just a great Magic team. But Penny was just a standout. I think he's another one like Grant Hill. His career.
Do you mean Shaq or T-Mac?
He had Shaq. Sorry. So that first, you're right. It was Shaq. That first injury that he had, it's like he just could never come good after that. But he was in the same thing like you were saying. We were saying about Jordan, how he introduced to TV with Spike Lee and all that. Penny was going down the same path. Like he was getting involved in the marketing side of the NBA. He had like Little Penny and all. Remember those commercials and all that? So, so Penny for me was probably a big. I was a massive Pippen fan, but I got to admit, like I always loved collecting. I started collecting basketball cards, like you were saying, and it was always Jordan and Pippen cards were the ones that I always looked out for. The old Upper Deck was the brand of the times. So you're right. So for me, Penny was a big. But I also love like Chris Webber and stuff like that. That Fab Five.
It was more of a big man league at the time, wasn't it? So I mean, Shaq, Chris Webber, and who else? Olajuwon, all these legends. Mourning.
Yeah.
Larry Johnson, Grandmama.
Malone.
That was one of my earliest basketball shoes. was
Larry
a
Johnson.
Larry Johnson. It was called Cons at the
Yeah.
time. They rebranded.
Oh, high tops,
Cons.
eh?
They had some, but they had low tops as well. I got the
Yeah.
high tops. It was the React, the Larry Johnson React. It had like a sort of a. It was called like a hexalite. It was called hexalite. So it's like a hexagon shape at the sole of the shoe.
Like the D Brown one.
It was like the gel. Yeah, it was so good.
D Brown's at the Omnilites.
The Converse, but they shortened it to Cons. So it had on the back of the heel had Cons. It was what happened? Where's our light?
And
What
they
happened
had,
to the light?
our light died.
Where you got base? I didn't know you were a baseball fan.
I love baseball.
No, I didn't know.
I'm every sport fan. Bro.
Is that a Dodgers? That's a Dodgers cap, hey.
It is. Was that a fly?
Get the more team.
Okay, just press play.
Yeah. Why is he going to press play? So he can watch
True.
while we
Press
sit here
record. Calm down.
and talking to ourselves.
I'm just gonna put my headphones
Let's do it.
on.
Benji. All right, Ed. So you were talking about Larry Johnson. Now you're going to eat. All right, well, just eat, bro.
Bad timing.
Just eat, man.
I'll
So
crunch.
professional. We're so professional. Mid
When we have budget.
I thought on my-
mid-pod, and our mates eating Reese Buttercups.
I just took one look, and I was there.
You done?
It was all feelings.
Let me
and
know when you're ready.
All feelings and emotions,
I can tell.
just like all the Jordanians.
Oh, right. Happy check on that Reese thing. If you asking for LeBron, mouth to mouth. Brady. All right, we back.
Okay, we're back.
So you were talking about Larry Johnson.
Yes, Grandmama. So that whole that whole advertising campaign, it was huge, and when Space Jam came out, because he was in that as
Yeah.
well. So
I just remember the gap between his teeth, which matched the line that was shaved into his head,
Yeah.
his hair.
he had a gold tooth as well. I think
I don't
one of
remember
his
that. I just
gold.
remember the gap.
Yeah, Grandmama, Larry Johnson, and that was my first official basketball shoe. Like I said, there's Cons, Hexalite, Reacts, and this would have been maybe 95 or 96 or no, when he was with the Charlotte Hornets with Alonzo Mourning. And
Yep.
they're the only guys. Was
Muggsy Bogues.
and Muggsy, of course, Muggsy, and Curry's dad, was it?
Yeah, Dell.
Del Curry was on the team, and what a team that was. But
Nice jersey, I remember that.
the classic,
That was one of the
Charlotte Hornets
one of the
jersey.
nicest jerseys. So okay, so we've gone. So you've now admitted that you're a Jordan fan, which you then transitioned to Grant Hill, Larry Johnson. Sorry.
Yeah, but Jordan was always obviously the GOAT at the time. I mean, come on.
I'll get Ben
He
to
changed.
edit.
He changed basketball
I'll get Ben to edit that at the time part, and I'll just have that as my
Because-
thought. But anyway,
because that coupled with the shoe.
yeah.
I mean, the shoes campaign, Nike, and his style of play was just suited that era of basketball. So I mean, he excelled in that. So he stood out.
Yeah.
A bit more than anyone. So and obviously the coaches he had propelled him to be the scorer, and he basically did most of the work for his teams from when he started.
Yeah.
But obviously when Phil Jackson come in, it was more of a team game, and they come the 90s.
Yeah.
They just took over. So
we've come to the understanding that you accept that Jordan's the GOAT, and then we'll move on from there. So now, your next favourite player comes into the thing. So because you've always, as far as I've known you, you've always told me that T-Mac was your boy, right?
Tracy McGrady.
So where did that love come into it?
Yeah, so Tracy McGrady, I didn't hear anything about him until, because like I said, we didn't really get live games for the NBA until we had Optus Vision, which was our first cable in Australia, late 90s. And I wasn't even really watching games at the time. I was still playing the video games of whatever I could get. But I had my first experience of discovering Tracy McGrady.
Your introduction to T-Mac.
My introduction to T-Mac was the original Xbox NBA Inside Drive 2004. So this would have been 2003 when that was released. And so he was already winning the scoring titles. He got 2 in a row, 2003, 2004 seasons. And I love the Magic. I've always loved the Magic. I mean, something about it. I can't tell you what, but I was playing and they said T-Mac this, Tracy McGrady, the commentators. I was like, because I think what I remember is sometimes you leave the game and it plays like a demo game.
Yeah.
And then one of them was that, and I'd seen who's this tall guy? Like he was tall on the game as well. As we know, he's like 6'9".
Yeah.
He's tall. Point guard or shooting guard, and he's just shooting threes on this game, on this demo. I said, I'm going to play as this guy, Tracy McGrady. And then I realized what effect he had at that time for the Magic, and I was like, oh man, this guy's amazing. And that's when I became a fan, literally, without even watching any games.
So thank you, Xbox, for introducing Ed to T-Mac and his long love of.
Yeah, well, I mean, YouTube didn't start until 2006. So after that, I really didn't see him play any games at all. But it was all through the video games.
Right.
Yeah, and then I got what my first NBA 2K game was NBA 2K5, which all had the first 4 or 5 2K games had AI, Allen Iverson on the covers, so he was on that, and 2K.
I've probably got it here somewhere, to be honest.
Maybe it's 2K4 and 2K5. 2K5 had Ben Wallace.
Yeah, it did actually.
After they won the chip.
Yeah.
Pistons won the chip in 2004, so he was on the cover of that. So I had those two, had 2K4, 2K5.
Yeah.
And I was just playing Magic with T-Mac. And that's when I discovered Steve Francis, because I was playing that Magic team, and then because 2004 was his last season, T-Mac's last season with the Magic, and I already loved Grant Hill. That's why I chose the Magic, because he was in the Magic at the time. And then here's this Steve Francis guy. And who's this short guy scoring all these points with so much skill? He ranked pretty highly at the time because he was already an all-star at the time. And when I realized Steve Francis' skill, he became one of my favorite players as well. Because I believe his crossover is better than Allen Iverson. I believe personally, just look at the video. I mean, is that all emotion and nostalgia?
That's facts.
Just because he was advertised as... No, but look, AI is great. And an amazing scorer, but so is Steve Francis. He really was. He just didn't have the type of career, and I don't know, things happened, it didn't work out for him. But when he was with the Magic, that was he scored 20 points per game, same with Grant Hill that season. He was only there for one season. But anyway, that's what I was saying. So it was T-Mac and Steve Francis I loved.
Right. So that's going to transition to me. So now telling me what you've told me, who can you say as your introduction to the NBA, who was the team that you actually went for? Did you have a team? Or could you actually say you didn't actually have a team until maybe the Magic? And then you could physically say, well, the Magic were my team.
Yeah, well...
Or were the Bulls your team? Or were you just following players
really
more than teams? Because I'm a bit like that. I'm more of a player guy than a team guy.
Because I love the color blue. So I just chose blue teams. So when I had the NBA...
Pistons?
No, NBA Inside Drive 2004, I was playing as the Mavs. So I had Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, Michael Finley, all those dudes. Who was, what a team that was.
But who was your first team? That's the question. Who was your first? Was it the Magic?
It was the Magic. It was not because of Shaq, really. Because this was after Shaq.
Yeah.
But I didn't really follow a team at all, really.
Yeah, right.
It was just players. So obviously, because like we said, Jordan, Grant Hill, Larry Jones, I didn't really follow a team. But until Magic, when I saw Tracy McGrady on that game, and then the year after, Grant Hill was on there, who I already loved. So it was just a strong...
The stars aligned.
Yeah, kind of. It just worked out. And then I said, okay, Orlando Magic, that's my team. But it wasn't really a strong thing like that. Oh, I'll support them no matter what. It's just, but now I always got a soft spot for Orlando. So now they're doing really well. I feels good to see with Franz Wagner and his brother Moritz, and they're just blitzing it. And I think they're second in the Eastern Conference, and so
I thought you might be going for the Cavs. I know. Because they're going quite well too.
Yeah, they're going really well. But I never went for the Cavs, ever.
Yeah.
Never. Even when LeBron came into the league, I didn't. And so LeBron was already in the league at that time, but I didn't even really pay much attention to LeBron, to be honest. Because I was still old school before
Really?
that. Yeah, I was still, all the legends that were still in the league, early 2000s, I was still stuck in who was still, Shaq and all the legends that were, even Elijah was still in the league.
Had you acknowledged Kobe or not at the time, before LeBron, or not really?
Oh yeah, of course. Kobe, I didn't mention Kobe. But he wasn't my favorite player as much as T-Mac. Because at the time, Kobe wasn't the best. It was him. Yeah, okay, he won the chips, but everyone always attributes the first three-peat to Shaq because he won the MVPs. You know, so that's the thing. So it was Kobe, it was Vince Carter, it was T-Mac, it was AI. They were all level playing field. They were. That's just how it was. So I didn't really Kobe. Yeah, he was great. The early 2000s. Yeah, they won a three-peat. Yeah, but I never wanted to play as Kobe.
Yeah, right.
I know it's different. It's just
I get it.
What I was sort of. It was just a natural sort of.
Yeah,
way
your transition.
came out. Yeah.
See, for me, it would have been. I think it would have been Jordan, then Penny Hardaway, and I think once Kobe came in, Kobe became my Jordan. You know what I mean? So I was going to ask you. So if there was one moment that if you could go back and experience, like live, like if there was one game or one moment, it doesn't have to actually be a game, but if there was one moment that you wish you could have been there live to experience it, do you know what that would have been?
Well, it's what you mean in the 90s?
Whenever. That one moment, one thing.
Cavs 2016 chip. Best comeback ever. 3-1 down against a 73-9 record-winning team. The Warriors already stacked more than the Cavs. It's the greatest comeback ever.
So you would have liked to have been at that last game.
I would have loved to see that, and blocked by James. Oh, Iguodala. Just the whole, and obviously Curry.
Yeah.
His three against Curry.
Yeah.
Just everything about it was just the tension. I mean, it was intense. And no one's ever had a comeback like that in any NBA finals.
Yeah.
Unprecedented and against all odds. So I would have loved to have seen that. And because, especially knowing now that, I don't know if I should say this.
You can say it.
Because literally after
This is a safe place.
Michael Jordan released the tapes for The Last Dance. So him and his team were afraid of his legacy being overtaken by LeBron because of how great that win was. The fact that the Warriors beat their record.
Did you just say Michael Jordan was scared?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, do you know Bill Simmons?
No.
From The Ringer? He's a very well-known analyst. He's Jordan all the way. Well, he loves the Celtics as well, but he even said that in 10 years ago in an interview, because it's just known.
All right.
So yeah, basically that's the reason.
I'm sure Jordan bases his decisions on what happens in LeBron's life. that's what you do when you're a billionaire.
He can't.
I
think that was all emotions.
Okay, so that's your NBA moment. Your NBA moment.
You look like you're going to cry, man.
No, I'm not. Trust me. Having to listen to LeBron propaganda is anything that makes me cry.
No. But what I'm saying, knowing that makes it that question, the answer to that question, sweeter for me to want to see that win the Cavs against the Warriors because all the odds were stacked against them, and not only that, it was the first championship for the city of Cleveland in over 50 years.
Right.
It was Jim Brown and the Cleveland Browns won a chip like 50 plus years before that. And the whole story behind LeBron, he left for the Heat.
Yeah, I get it.
The Cavs. He's from Akron.
Cinderella story of going back to.
He came back and he won for them. Just the whole story.
I get the storyline.
Yeah. So it was just.
It seems like a script. I think.
It was perfect.
I think it was set up for him to do that.
Perfect.
So would you say that's your best sporting moment that you've seen? That win?
Yes.
Yeah?
Of course.
If you could ever think of, if there was one sporting moment that you've ever watched, that's your sporting moment?
In terms of basketball, yes.
Yeah.
But...
how about sports in general?
Well,
what's your best sporting moment? I know what mine is, and mine's actually not basketball related either.
Well, it's not football. I know I never used to watch football ever, really. But so probably yours will be that, which is great. But because I was into rugby and I was into cricket, right? So, but in general, we had the best rugby union team in the world. They beat all the, like, you compare them to now.
When you're saying they, you're talking about Fiji, you're talking Australia?
No, Australia.
Okay.
Look, I'm Australian. I was born and raised here.
Just clarifying.
But the
Clarifying
Wallabies,
for our viewers that might be interested.
the Australian Wallabies team, this is the Australian rugby union team. They won everything against the British and Irish Lions.
Yeah.
They won that. They won the Bledisloe Cup how many times? They won the World Cup like in '99, and then the next World Cup after that. Just that era, we had the best players we've ever had, and they were the most successful. And just growing up and watching that was so. It was just a momentous time just to know that we're on the top.
So what would you based off that? What would you say is your best sporting moment, like your best memory of a sporting moment growing up? It doesn't have to be NBA based. Like I said, mine's not basketball. My greatest sporting moment is not basketball related. So is yours a certain game that you remember or a certain win?
Well, I was a huge cricket fan as well and we had the best team in this early 90s, rugby and cricket, and I already loved their sports. And just to see Australia be the greats,
Dominate.
and absolutely dominate and you look at it, like in terms of cricket, not so much rugby, unfortunately. A lot of the greats from that era, you look at on Facebook, sometimes they'll post like what's their top 11 players all time. Like, you look at the legends, you always got Shane Warne, you've always got Glenn McGrath, you always got
Steve Waugh was my favourite.
Yeah, but he's not really on the great teams.
I'm not saying he's not the greatest. I thought he was my favourite.
No, yeah, but you might see Ricky Ponting. You'll definitely see Matthew Hayden or Adam Gilchrist. So these guys were just the best of the best. I mean, in terms of wicket-keeper batsmen, Adam Gilchrist, he changed the game, like, for actual impact.
I loved Ian Healy, but
I know. But he was, it's just different.
The master of trash talk, Ian Healy.
Yeah, because he didn't have the skills.
Well, you still haven't told me.
He didn't have the skills of Adam Gilchrist.
So what's your one sporting event or game that would be your highlight?
It'd have to be the 99 World Cup. The Australia defeated France in France, I believe.
Oh, wow.
It was in France. It was at home. They beat them in the World Cup, and to me it was the greatest thing ever, just to see them win that, because they won. That was the 2 in a row they won. They won the first one. That was 95. The first one was 91. So they won the very first World Cup, and then they won 95? No, sorry, 91. 95, I think South Africa won, and then Australia won again. So they were the first team to win 2 World Cups. So it was and it was only the third one, but it was just a time where I think I even cried.
Did you
once.
go to the game?
I even cried watching them
Did you
win.
go to the game or no?
It was in France, man.
Okay,
No.
so it wasn't.
Yeah, but we watched we had live stream and everything.
Yeah,
watched it live, and just how they got into the finals it was just amazing. It was a lot of close games, but they were just so dominant, and it was just good to see. And so that meant a lot to me.
All right.
But like I was saying, we didn't really have live games for the NBA, so I can't really say there was a great NBA
Well,
game.
that's why with me, like if you were to ask me the question about what's my greatest sporting moment that I've ever experienced, I actually experienced it live. I was actually at the game. Was the Uruguay versus Australia 2005 for Australia to qualify into their first World Cup since 1974.
Yes.
So Australia had to win that game. They'd gone to it was a 2-part series kind of thing, knockout. Australia had gone to Uruguay and they'd lost 1-0, and they had horrible reception in Uruguay. And the thing is that I've got family in Uruguay. My parents, even though I'm Italian background, they grew up in Uruguay, so I did have a link to Uruguay. My cousins are there. I got family members there. So, but seeing Australia, the way they were treated, the players in Uruguay, and then they lost 1-0. I know that they played drums during the night, so they couldn't rest the night before. So the fans, look, they're passionate. You can't take that away from them. They're passionate. So when the game was, then they came back to Australia. Qantas put them on a flight, and they had a really good flight here. They had like masseuses on the plane, and they really prepared them well, which was fantastic for them. So I ended up getting tickets to that game. It was a sold out crowd at home, which was like 80-something thousand people there. And that game, Bresciano scored a goal to put us back 1-1, and then went to a penalty shootout. And it was, the atmosphere was just, I'll never forget it. Like,
wasn't it Viduka that got the last one?
Viduka missed the penalty.
Oh, he
actually.
missed. Sorry,
He missed. Yeah, it was John Aloisi scored the last winning penalty.
Yes.
But that for me was one of those moments where it's funny. Like I took a friend of mine to the game, Lucas. He's a Brazilian guy from Sao Paulo, and he'd been to, heaps of games in Brazil where there's 100,000 people and stuff like that. And even he said that the atmosphere of that game was something that he'd never experienced. Like the stadium felt like it was shaking. Like I think there would have been, out of the 80-something thousand, maybe there was 2,000 Uruguayan supporters to maybe the 80,000 Australian supporters. So yeah, for me, that sporting moment, that moment where you say you think you're crying. We probably were crying. Like you hugged people that you didn't even know. It was one of those moments, like waiting that many years, or 74 to 2005 or 2006 was the World Cup.
Who were some of the players? Kuhl,
Harry Kuhl, which
Aloisi.
he didn't start that game actually. Harry Kuhl, we had Hus Hiddink, which is our coach.
Wasn't he injured or something?
He wasn't injured, but Hus, for some reason, I don't know if it was a tactical masterclass, he didn't start him. And Popovic got an early yellow card for elbowing Recoba in the face, which in my opinion should have been a red card, but he didn't get a red card. So tempers are flaring. So Hus Hiddink decided to substitute him early, Popovic, and put Harry Kuhl on. And that he changed the game straight away. Like it was actually his miss kick that let the ball follow through to Bresciano to score the first goal for Australia. So, and that, look, Uruguay had so many chances. Recoba had an amazing chance where he should have scored all day long. And then for some strange reason, Recoba, which was Uruguay's greatest player at the time, got substituted early. And he was that upset that I remember he didn't even go to the bench. He walked straight into the sheds. It was like he knew it was over. So Australian, and then, well, you probably know that, I'm sure you've seen maybe the highlights of, it kind of put Mark Schwartz on the map as well, because he performed two of the greatest saves in a penalty shootout. But that moment when John Aloisi scored that last penalty, and he took off his shirt and he waved it around, and the fireworks were going off and the crowd was just ecstatic. That for me was like, if I could bottle that experience up in a little bottle and just have little whiffs of it every day, I'd be happy with it. It was that good of an experience.
Yeah, that would have to have been the most successable Australian soccer football.
That was the golden
experience,
the golden
ever.
era of Socceroos. That era, right? Like, but look, not taking away from the team in 1974 that also made it. The World Cup was also in Germany that year when they qualified. They had Rally Rasic as their coach. It was a Yugoslavian international. It was a great man actually, and so that achievement alone for them to make it to the World Cup was great. But then we had that big hiatus of near misses. I remember getting knocked out by, I think it was Iraq. We had players like Ned Zelic in the team. Ben might know because he's more of a football guy. But like we had really close opportunities to make it into World Cups before that 2006 World Cup that we qualified. But just that moment, it was like everyone knew like this has to be the year. This has to be the year. And playing a team like Uruguay, which they were the first World Cup winners, they've got a big heritage of being World Cup winners. They're a fantastic team. To play them was already a very daunting task. So to qualify, to knock them out, and to qualify, and that moment for me is, I think
it's great.
Being that, and if I maybe ever had a chance of being at Jordan's last game when he hit that last shot, might have been an on par moment. But like sporting for me, it's got to be that moment for me.
I remember 2006. We watched the Australia-France Socceroos France game. Yeah. Was that the one they lost in the quarters or so? Was it semis or quarters?
That was
in the World Cup.
No, they lost it. They got knocked out by Italy.
Oh, Italy. It was Italy, sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
And you're talking about the Fabio Grosso penalty.
Yeah.
You ended up winning the World Cup, though.
They won the World Cup.
Yeah, because we went to Ben's house and watched it there. We were up early in the morning. Ben,
Australia played fantastic.
Sean, a whole bunch of us were there.
Australia played fantastic that game. I don't think they were robbed. Lucas Neal went to ground. And at the
Old wounds,
end of the
we're not
day,
big up old wounds.
I don't think they were robbed. But
They're the underdogs. I mean,
They were the
they're not
underdogs.
they weren't respected.
and you know what?
And then-
They should hold their head up high for the way they got. Like the way they played against Japan in that series and stuff like that. They lost I think that they drew to Croatia, I believe, after that. I think they beat Japan. They drew to Croatia. There was another game. I don't remember who the third game was. I've gone blank. I'm not sure now. Ben might know. Do you remember?
I remember.
I remember, unfortunately, Zelko Kalac was the goalkeeper against Croatia, and he just set the ball right over him like a speed hump, poor guy.
The three game,
But that-
nearly lost. No, that wasn't in Japan. That was the following.
But what was the game when Zidane headbutted?
That was the final of 2006.
It was Italy.
That was Italy.
I thought he was French.
No, he was French. So Zidane, hang on, take it easy.
I'm confused.
Take a breath.
Yeah.
Take a breath.
So I watched the Italy game.
Take a breath.
Zidane. Zidane is French.
We should do another episode.
Take a breath.
But that was against Italy.
was
wasn't it?
Italy.
Oh, okay.
So-
I'm confused. That's right.
So
yeah.
the defender
I remember.
Materazzi,
in the final, yeah.
Materazzi said something about his sister and his mum.
Allegedly.
Said something about his sister. And Materazzi knew what he was doing. He was a fantastic trash talker and knew how to get into people's heads. And Zidane, I'm surprised fell for it because Zidane played for Juventus at the time, was in the same league. Materazzi was at Inter Milan. So they had banter before. And that was Zidane's last game as an international player. And then to go out like that, I think that cost them the World Cup.
I think the stakes were probably that high.
Yeah.
His emotions sort of
To headbutt somebody in the chest because they said something about your mum or your sister. So, but that was the World Cup. You're right. So, but that was the one that Italy went through and won it. That was probably one of my most favorite World Cups that I've watched. Like just the games, the class, the quality of the games, that whole era of football or soccer. That mid 2000s that was a great era of
Well,
soccer. We saw
but also
great
seeing
players.
Australia. I mean,
They did
we've-
fantastic.
Just as being Australians, like just to see their effort, which is the greatest effort we've ever seen. That was big time. After that, the A-League really took off. They restructured and it really changed a lot of things for football in Australia.
100%. With that, look, those guys, Harry Kewell, Tim Cahill, that whole era, the Aloisi boys, the Edd Muzz, the Brett Emerton, Lucas Neal, they were all players that played top quality European football, you know. They played in England, they played in Spain, Aloisi played in Spain. So that was that golden era of Australian football. That was the majority of those players were playing overseas. So they were very talented players. Like that Australian team was fantastic. And the coach was amazing. Like to have Huskinik as coach, he had Graham Arnold as his assistant. That was a fantastic era of football.
Yeah,
So.
I never used to watch football, but I did have the games. Like I said, I had FIFA 95, and then after that I had FIFA 99 on the PlayStation. FIFA 99 was like really good. For that time, and I used to see those players. I used to, I mean, and play as the Socceroos, and I was like, these guys aren't that good. So I used to change. I don't remember who I used to play as, but I always had a soccer game. I always had like a football game.
I think everybody did. I think everybody had the FIFA games.
And the one with Ronaldinho and that was 90s, 2000 something.
We all used to love hearing the EA Sports guy at the start. Remember that? EA Sports. It's in the game. Remember that? That was,
The first, it was first, if it's in the game, it's in the game.
yeah, I don't remember that.
Then they cut it off. They just said it's in the game. Yeah, if you listen to the early Sega Genesis, that's what it used to be. If it's in the game, it's in. Maybe it was too long. I don't know.
Yeah, so there you go. That was my greatest sporting moment that I actually experienced by being at was that. So
Cool.
So back to NBA. I've got a few more questions for you before we wrap it up. If there was a player from the past that you loved that you could bring into this era of basketball that you think would be extremely successful, who do you think in today's game? Who do you think would be a player? Would you say Grant Hill, a healthy Grant Hill in this era of basketball?
Well, first thing that came to mind was Wilt Chamberlain,
big
but
man.
the rules have changed so much. I don't know if he would be as successful considering the skill set of the centers these days. I mean, they all shoot threes now. A majority of them now. They're the expectations of a centre is different, totally different. The whole game has changed. So, but like you said, Grant Hill, Grant Hill. I'd love to see him play as the healthy Grant Hill in his prime. He'd need to add a 3-point shot. He wasn't really much of a 3-point shooter. Obviously the 90s wasn't. Yeah, I know, but it wasn't a 3-point league at the time, which is understandable, like it is now. But I'm sure he could do that. But if you look at DeMar DeRozan, he doesn't. I mean, he's not known for his 3-pointers, and he's been in this era for a while, and he's a veteran and all-star, and he's very successful. But Grant Hill just had that X factor. He was just, and he was just so entertaining to watch.
Yeah,
and that's probably who I'd want to see, in the league today, or even Tracy McGrady, because he how many like they who's the guy for the Magic that just got injured, what's his name, the rookie, he was a rookie, what's his name?
I'm not sure who you're thinking.
The guy with the cornrows. No, the one that, for the Magic. I got a mind blank.
With the cornrows? You just named about 60% of the NBA. But anyway, look.
No.
You think about that. We're going to tell you putting Jordan aside, because I think I'd love to see Jordan in today's era, and it's more just the fact of to see if he would dominate in this era as much as he dominated, I think, in the 90s. Taking him out of the equation, I think someone like Hakeem Olajuwon, I would love to see, like a big man like him, see how because it's a big man game at the moment. Like, look at Jokic and guys like that. Like, imagine seeing like an Olajuwon versus Jokic, like, battle and things like that. I think I'd love to see someone like Olajuwon in today's league and see if he would dominate or how he would go. It'd
be interesting because he's way more defensive minded and obviously he had the offensive skills. The game was different because he didn't have an outside game at all, but his mid range is great. Yeah. But his post up moves, the dream shake and all that. 100%. And he was like all muscle, so he's just probably the same height as Joel Embiid.
Yep.
But Embiid looks way slower than Hakeem back in the day. And I see what you mean.
His footwork.
Just the footwork. It'd be a challenge. Let's say he added a 3-point game as well.
Yeah. In
today's league, he'd be a force.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think that's the guy I'd like to see in this league. I think would be most fitting for the league.
But none of these guys have the passing skills of a Jokic.
No, I agree.
But
I think
all round
they didn't need it. I think they're the kind of players that could develop that, but if they needed it. I think Olajuwon could develop a 3-point shot if he needed it in today's game. So that's what I'm saying. So if I had to think about someone that I think could fit right into the current league, in the state that it's in, for me, I think Olajuwon is that player that could mould and could be a dominant force in the current league.
Yeah, I agree.
From that era.
For sure. Totally.
From that era. But you're right, even guys like Wilt Chamberlain and stuff like that.
He would have had to.
He was an athlete, man.
Yeah, it's different. It was a different league, but I think those guys, Grant Hill and Olajuwon for sure. Yeah. Any more questions? What's the next question? I've ran out of questions.
Have I got any more questions?
No, who's the guy with the cornrows?
Ed, still the guy with the cornrows.
Magic.
This guy.
Orlando.
It's got to edit it out.
It's got to be.
Edit it.
This is the Jeopardy song that you got to put in. Not that Baba Yarrow. No, what's his name?
Banchero. Paolo
Banchero. Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah. So Paolo Banchero, he just got 50 points recently, and he's the youngest to get 50 points since T-Mac. He's the second youngest. T-Mac was the youngest, but T-Mac got 4 50-point games for the Magic in those 4 seasons. That's just to see T-Mac in today's game at his prime.
Yeah.
he would have been better than Grant Hill. He would have been better because he already had a 3-point game, and he's so tall. He was like 6'9", 6'10". He made a lot of blocks as well. Like defensively, he wasn't a defensive mind. He was all offense, but he's just so nice to watch play. You know, just his style on the court, and so. We can't really say Vince Carter because he kind of just retired.
Well, he was kind of in this era.
Yeah, he was, but, you know.
No, we've got to, stick to the one that you said.
Yeah.
So yours is Grant Hill and mine's Olajuwon. So let's finish it up with who's your prediction for who's going to win the chip this year?
It's very tough because...
Based on the state that they leave. So what are we in? We're up to, how many games in are we in now?
I think, 12 games?
12 games,
maybe,
I think.
yeah. And look, the Suns are leading the Western Conference. And
that means nothing.
As soon as they had the big three...
That's like saying the Cavs haven't lost the game, so are you going to give them the chip?
They've only lost 2 games, though. It's not the Suns. They've only lost 2 gaars, yeah.
Cavs haven't lost any.
They haven't lost any. They're doing great. Jarrett Allen, Donovan Mitchell, and Darius Garland. Yeah, those 3, phenomenal. I mean, I never would have imagined that happening. And they might go for the record. So
who's your pick?
No losses at the start of a season. So it's tough. That's what I said. Warriors are doing great.
Yeah, well,
so those 3 Suns, Warriors.
I'll be honest. They're my prediction. They're a dark horse, but my prediction for this year is that the Warriors might get another chip.
Yeah, I mean Nuggets had a slow start. Look at the Bucks. They're like 11th. In the Western Conference.
If Curry can stay healthy for me,
they're East.
I think the Warriors will be up there. They'll be there at the end.
And they're great because Buddy Hield, off the bench, I mean, without Clay, but then you got the Mavs, and Mavs aren't doing too good at the moment. It's still early days, I know, but it's also weird isn't it weird seeing Clay and Kyrie Irving on the same team?
Yeah,
I mean,
very odd.
But it's a great acquisition for them. But
they just lost to the Warriors, didn't they?
Clay is hot and cold. He's not as consistent as you would have expected. Maybe 5 years ago. I mean, he's lost a bit of the spring in his step. I don't. Well,
so who's your prediction?
I really don't know.
You don't know yet?
I really don't know who's going to win.
So do we put that question on pause?
But I'm always going to go for LeBron.
So Lakers again.
Yeah, I'll go. And look, we know the start they had. Like
maybe if they bring Bronny back.
He just got sent to the G League.
He wasn't ready. That was
he played yesterday. He played 2 minutes and got 1 foul.
That was just a story. Look, I get it. I understand the beauty of the story of a guy playing on the same team as his son. I get it.
It's a dream. It's a dream that
was just something that was scripted by the corporation, by his dad, by JJ Redick.
Bronny's been through a lot. I have to say, I can see the controversy as he hasn't been performing, but he's been.
What do you mean he's been through a lot?
Cardiac arrest, man.
I know.
Come on.
Okay.
I mean,
so why?
Pretty serious.
So if he's not ready to be in the NBA. Don't select him to play in the NBA.
But the pressure that's put on him, I don't think that was sort of considered by anyone. It was it just seems he was just propelled into from nothing.
But then but look at Scottie Pippen's son.
Yeah, but he worked his way up. I mean,
that's right.
That's what I'm saying.
That's right. That's exactly my point.
That's why I feel bad for Bronny.
He worked his way up while these guys just put Bronny on this little. Well, here you go. Here's the silver platter.
I know.
Okay, so as long as you know.
But in terms of the Lakers,
where he should be at the moment.
Yeah. Are you finished?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
Sorry, I'm done.
About Bronny?
I'm done. We'll put that one on pause.
But it's true. I get you. Yeah. But in terms of the Lakers, well, they had a great start, 3-0. They lost a few games in a row after that, but they got a good win against the Raptors yesterday. It was close all the way, but then they ended up winning by 20 points. LeBron's got 3 triple doubles, which is amazing. He's 40 next month, and Austin Reeves is showing up, and look, JJ Redick's the coach, yes, but I really respect JJ because he's worked his way up from as as a role player, basically. But his knowledge of the game is phenomenal. Like he's and the history of the game, he loves basketball. So I think his passion always comes through. And if you see him when he used to be on First Take, that used to absolutely demolish Stephen A. Smith and all his arguments.
I remember.
But that's from his own knowledge and his own mindset. And look, I think he's applying that.
We'll see what happens during the course of the league.
Am I talking about the Lakers too much? But
no.
But yeah, I mean, then D'Angelo off the bench is pretty good. So he's been scoring as well.
Yeah.
And Hachimura. I mean, they're all shown up and they've played. But Anthony Davis as well.
Yeah.
He's playing MVP level.
He's playing well.
Yeah.
Playing very well.
So we'll see. I'm always going to, wherever LeBron goes, I'll sort of support. But
well, this is a good episode of Get to Know Edd with Muzz. So we know now a little bit more about Edd. How, in summary, he believed Jordan was the GOAT.
Believed. Keyword, believed.
We'll leave that. I think we should finish up by asking Ben a question. Will Arsenal win the Premier League this year, Ben?
Maybe.
That's so reassuring.
We'll see.
We both know that's not the case.
I have no idea. What about Bournemouth?
They're going to do exactly what they did last year.
What about my team, Bournemouth?
Arsenal is going to choke. Like, hey, they beat Man City. You should be happy.
Yeah, you should jump on the bandwagon.
You're back on, eh?
I know who to talk about this to. I know who to talk about this to.
We're going to have to buy you a Bournemouth jersey. Oh, you didn't know that they beat Man City?
I didn't know.
True fan.
Yeah.
So, well, it's good to know that Ben thinks that maybe Arsenal will win the league because he was very confident last year, right to the bitter end.
Where are they coming on the table?
You know, being a Liverpool fan, I feel bad talking about this. Liverpool is like about 9 points ahead of Arsenal at the moment.
As of today.
Yeah, but what ranking? Like, who's on the top?
Liverpool.
Oh,
Liverpool's ahead. Man City's 5 points behind. Then we've got Arsenal and Chelsea. Actually, I think Chelsea's above Arsenal. Yeah. So Arsenal's coming fourth.
Oof.
So
what about Tottenham?
Tottenham's coming sixth, I think, or seventh.
That's my new team. That's my new team.
Yeah.
I switched.
Were you Bournemouth a second ago?
Yeah.
I would definitely be picky.
Half of me is Bournemouth, half of me is Tottenham. I'm just whoever wins.
You know, I think we should do.
Whoever wins the most.
You should do next week. I think you should do a getting to know Ben segment, and we have Ben sitting here, and then you ask Ben questions about the Premier League. What do you think?
I could.
I think we should.
I could. I could. No, maybe you.
Nah, you'll be fine.
I'll just chat GPT my questions.
You're a good interviewer.
I'll chat GPT my questions.
Well, thanks for your time, Ed. We got to know a little bit more about you today.
Yeah.
Things I didn't know, surprisingly.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So,
what about you?
Thank you.
We learn about you?
No, that could be our next podcast.
What's about you?
You learn a few things about me.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
You learn a few things, but not much.
I think I'm going to cry. The emotions.
Don't cry. So thanks for joining us, all 54 of you, if you all end up watching it.
With Kobe, backing us. Look at it. The shoes, Mama Mentality book.
Good old Kobe.
Just what an influence.
Yeah.
What a legend. But anyway, see you guys.
Till next time. Thanks, guys.
Bye. I'm eating.
Eddie, I shouldn't have put these out. You're right, Ed.
It's bad timing. Can you hear this on the mic by crunching?
Yeah.
I can hear it. Don't worry about the mic. I can hear it.
Levels are good.
I'm trying to crunch softly.
You're already crunching me softly. Is that a new song? New song.
Yeah, the Reese's don't want me.
Lauren Hill's new song, Crunching Me Softly.
They don't want to be crunched. That's the thing.
You love those
There's
Reese's.
no choice.
It's peanut butter.
I love it. I've never had it before.
I'm on a diet. I can't have it. That's
I always see a lot of new things when I come here, man.
You see, that's good.
It's nice. Yeah, I like it. Anyway.
Like that Jordan.
There's Jordan stuff everywhere. I just had to.
Jersey that's signed right there.
I had to prepare mentally and
don't worry, there'll be no
adjust.
There'll be no go talk today, unless you ask me a question about it.
You deserve it.
No, it's okay.
You deserve all the Jordan.
All right, are we ready? All right, have you finished eating? Do you need
everything Jordan today?
Give a clap. Ready?